Well, hey, and good morning. It is Tuesday and it is cold. My goodness. Can you all keep a secret? Can you all keep a secret? I've got socks on. I can't breathe with socks on. And I'm telling you honestly, I hate socks. But I don't hate our girl Sophia. Thank you for the Crime Lines and Lies membership. Let's go ahead and get our umbrellas. Looks like old DT driver has expired. What the hell? What a slap in the face to your wife. That's okay. I'm sure we'll get that fixed. Exactly, Melanie. Southeast Oklahoma into Dallas is going to get hammered. I believe it's Tuesday morning? It's going to be bad. Old DT driver's at home right now. Well, for one, his truck is being worked on. And two, the place where he's supposed to deliver up towards Kansas City, they're like, it's sheet of ice. You can't get in. Well, let's take a second and tell everyone, hola, look at that. Kimberly Mann working on the goal. 3 go. Let's celebrate your 10th super on a live stream. I'm going to do that first. I'm going to give a big round of applause to Kimberly Mann, keeping us going. And now let's tell all of our friends hi, hello, howdy. And have you heard about this case? Because it's insane. Good morning, Teddy Bear. I've missed you. Exactly, Angel P. It's horrific. I mean, horrific. Cinnamon Hot said, hi, Brooks. That nurse looks like that insane Kate Marie from YouTube. I don't know who that is, but this woman looks insane. Let's look at her photo. They finally unveiled who the person is that's been behind mysterious, or as they call it, malicious wounds against babies. Primarily, actually only Black babies in the NICU unit, in a hospital in Virginia. Now, there she is, graduation day. She did great. She did great. Flying colors, teacher's pet. And then there she is on the right in her mugshot. What's really crazy about this is there was a huge hospital cover-up, in my opinion, because she was put on administrative leave with pay. She comes back a little bit before Thanksgiving, and the injuries start again. 7 that we know of. 7 that we know of. Now, I'm going to bring our friend Angel P up here in a second, but first I'm going to go through what we know so far. Buckle up. This is from Sarah Boyles, freelance journalist. I invited her to come on the show, by the way. The mystery abuser has been unmasked. I'll put her back up on the screen so y'all can get a big old gulp of that. There she is. Aaron Strautman, a 26-year-old RN, has been charged with malicious wounding and child abuse that caused serious injury. She was charged at 1:15 a.m. early this morning. That's on January 3rd, my friends. Video evidence was used to find the sadistic nurse. According to investigators, Strotman seriously injured many premature babies. But she's only being charged for one incident that happened in November of last year, 2024. If you had a premature infant in the care of Aaron Strotman and you feel your baby was harmed, investigators want you to reach out to them. This investigation's been going on for a long time. Virginia neonatal ward is completely shut down now after a mystery abuser breaks bones on 7 different premature babies in their care. Henrico Doctors Hospital in Richmond, Virginia, has shut down their NICU unit out of abundance of caution. The ward is temporarily shut down as authorities and hospital administrators scramble to identify the sick individual accused of breaking bones on 7 premature babies. Well, they know who it is now. This horrifying situation came to light in August of 2023 when Dominique and Tori Hackey welcomed twin boys into the world. During the twins' subsequent stay at the NICU unit, Dominic noticed his son's left leg was not moving and it was discolored. After informing the staff of the potential injury, the hospital chalked it up to an accident and said it may have been from a staff member giving an injection too hard. All right, let me invite up Angel P because I can feel her blood boiling all the way over here. Look at this. And anybody wants to grab the link, come on up. Oh, look at that. DT Driver, new member. Welcome back, DT Driver. Paper Slut said, my son was born 2 weeks late and had to go 2 weeks late and had to go to NICU for 2 months due to swallowing fluid while being born. They said he was the sickest baby in the ward, even more than the teeny tiny preemies. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. Angel P, here is the link if you want to link up. That is what they said to them. That's what they said. An injection too hard. However, the parents were not convinced, fearing that the incident could be turned around on them. Good idea. Good idea. Because it's a wonder that they didn't blame all these parents, because the hospital needs to keep in their pocket what's called moolah. These were huge lawsuits going on. Parents were not convinced, and fearing that the incident could be turned around on them, they contacted Child Services. Child Services came back with the conclusion that the child had suffered level 1 physical abuse and determined it happened at the hands of an unknown hospital employee. Okay, y'all, this is too much. Welcome, Angel P, everyone. Round of applause. Our girl, Angel P, is here. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse today. Nani said, this woman makes me sick. It takes real evil to hurt any child, to hurt the most vulnerable babies in a NICU. Put this evil one under the jail. Question is, what will she get? What will she get? Malicious wounding is what they're calling it. Malicious wounding. I think it needs to be a little stiffer than that, but that's just me. While Angel gets herself situated, let's go through this video on Facebook. I kept it this way purposely so you can see the comments. This woman, her name is Karen Edwards, said they are only charging her with child neglect and malicious wounding. This is a hate crime. What do you all think? Do you believe this is a hate crime? She only targeted the Black babies. That's all she targeted. Yeah, OJ's raising hell back there. Thank you, Sonia Allen, for the super sticker. She said, thanks for covering this. Crazy people in America. V. Oakley said, yes, in my opinion. Boomer Sooner Baby said, hate crime. How else can you look at it? How can you? This is insane. All right, let's look what this guy has to say. Angel P, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Look who's up here. A real medical professional who would never think to do something like this.
Oh my goodness. This makes me so sick. I just can't imagine. I hope she really, really, really gets in trouble because there's 7 total babies involved.
Mm-hmm. And the charges
And
are about to start piling up.
and I'm so glad because this is so disgusting. You know, most people don't go into nursing with an intention of harming other people. I swear, I think that's, I don't know. I swear, I think that, she never should have gone into nursing. I just wonder if that was not some kind of sick way for her to, to get to what she needed to do or something, or what she thought she needed to do. I can't stand this. I mean, people don't trust healthcare professionals sometimes as it is. And when you see something like this, it goes against every fiber of every nurse that has a good heart and good intentions of helping people.
Well, and not just everybody can go work in the NICU. Is it not special training?
Yes, it is. Now, I myself never worked in the NICU. I kind of went the other way with geriatrics. But yeah, you're talking about teeny tiny, as we all know, premature babies. I think the set of twins was like born at 28 weeks gestation.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely horrific. It's just sadistic. She's a monster.
One of the babies, one of the twins was 2 pounds, the other barely over 3. You can hold some of these babies in the palm of your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's snapping their legs, their
No.
arms. What is wrong with her?
Oh my goodness. I'm really aggravated about it, and I'm really upset that the hospital, you got to look at another case that we covered, which you and I mentioned briefly yesterday afternoon, about the little girl in the bathroom. Well, the girl in the bathroom, I think we all remember who that was, how that hospital was blamed when it was not even their fault. However, this time, it really does look like a big cover up. And the fact that she was put on paid leave, that may be their policy, but give me a break. She was on paid leave. And then when she comes back, it happens again. It starts happening again. I hope they bring criminal charges against her.
And right off the bat when she came back. First off, Lunas, where have you been? I've been missing you, sister. What in the world is going on? But you bring up a great point. You said Alexi Treviso.
Yes, ma'am.
She killed her baby and put the baby in the trash can. Full-term baby. Full-term.
Yep.
Tried to cover it up. They're suing the hospital. And now these people have been trying to rattle cages since 2023 to find out why all these babies have broken bones.
Yes. And in my opinion, I don't know how everybody else feels, but in my opinion, when she was on leave and they started suspecting things, the fact that they brought her back makes them liable, in my opinion, as well. They are just as guilty as for bringing her back, knowing what she was doing.
They are going to have a shitstorm of civil lawsuits. Now, let me ask you about these excuses that the hospital gave to the families. It could have been a birthing accident. All of these babies were C-section.
No, birthing accident that happens possibly during a vaginal delivery. Sorry. A birthing accident, hard labor, breech presentation, which will involve the clavicle, not the leg usually. No. That's just a story they're making up.
Okay, what about when they said there could have been an injection that went in too hard? Aren't babies' bones like rubber?
Baby's bones are very delicate because, you know, our bones, an older person can have osteoarthritis, for example. Okay. And that makes your bones brittle. Okay. A young baby is just forming, especially a premature baby, it's just forming those bones, and all of the mineralization is going on in the bone to make the bone stronger. So you can imagine, I mean, I hate to use this as an example, but you can imagine picking up a stick and it being dry and breaking in two. Okay,
Sure.
sometimes you get a stick, it's a little green, a little dead, and it has a little bit of what do you call it? You can move it, it's flexible a little bit. But
Some bend to it. Some bend to
yes,
it.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But then it's going to break with so much
Mhm.
pressure. It's going to break. And I don't know how she did this. I just keep envisioning her grabbing the leg like with both of her hands and doing that. I
Mhm.
don't know. There's no other explanation, in my opinion, because she was on duty when all of this happened.
Now, you would think just by process of elimination, they could figure out how many nurses work in the NICU. And the hospital did not want Child Protective Services involved, but the parents were afraid, with good reason, they
Hmm.
were going to get blamed. And these parents, and I'm sure you've seen the NICU parents that come in all the time. I have a friend
Yes.
recently, her daughter had a baby, had it in July. He was supposed to be born in September. He was in NICU for quite a while. She said at the Ronald McDonald House, they were at the hospital all the time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Every time that, they're allowed to come and visit, they will come in. Um, and I believe it was Mr. Hackey that had the twins, where
Yes.
one of the twin got the Noah, the one that was stronger and was doing better over Micah, is the one that had the fracture on his tibia, which is your weight bearing bone, of your lower leg.
Mhm.
Mm. You know, the way that was even presented to them was just ridiculous. I mean, they were basically like, oh, they picked up the baby, according to Mr. Hackey, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. The nurse picked up the baby, said blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, I noticed that his leg wasn't moving and it was discolored. So we took some x-rays and he's got a broken bone. We're going to splint it for a couple of weeks. Here, do you want to hold your baby? Just
Mhm.
like it was nothing, nothing. And he had the wits about him, to say, whoa, 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 hang on a minute. What did you just say? Because
Mhm.
they were really trying to minimize that.
But they're going to pull the mental illness card. They've already said that, even though she passed with flying colors through
Hmm.
foreign school, I mean, she was in the front row, great at science and everything. So did she go to school and make it into the NICU unit to abuse children? One has to wonder.
I do wonder. I do wonder.
I mean, what is her hatred against little babies? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep saying it, but black babies. That's the only children she abused. And yeah, there was quite a few other race of children that were in the NICU.
Yes. And when I was doing some research yesterday, the I'm pretty sure that she was a coordinator at that NICU when she first started. So she was kind of in a middle management position, which is even more disturbing.
At 26?
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I just
Yep.
can't believe it.
There's a video of her walking across nursing stage that I sent you yesterday, and then there's a video of someone talking about their nursery and how wonderful it is, and then she is up there next saying, "Hi, my name is blah blah, and I am the coordinator here, and I really love working here." Okay, it just makes me sick. Makes me sick. I don't know
Well,
what happened to her.
from what I understand, she wasn't exactly on the dating scene. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
She had issues, making friends with the other nurses, but she
Oh,
targets these babies. And I want to know, were there other nurses paying attention? I don't know. A baby's in a crib, you
yeah,
know,
that's what I don't understand. And that's what makes me even more suspicious was, you know, I don't want to get ahead of you, but when the hospital, said that we're going to take increased security measures, like more video security, I really didn't understand that because everywhere I've ever worked my entire 40 something years,
mm-hmm,
um, there's video cameras everywhere. They're in the
mm-hmm.
hallways. And you know how NICU is. It's what I was saying. Did she work graveyard? I don't understand how she got by with this, with other staff coming in during the day and working with other babies. I have no idea. No idea. Does it make any sense to me?
Now, what I read is she did work overnight. Now, I know a lot of NICU units, I know they do it at St. Francis here in Tulsa. They actually have an app for the parents. So when they go to, rest, lay down, they have an app that shows them what's going on in the NICU unit. I think that's very important. If we have this technology, let's please use it for good ways.
Yes, ma'am. And even though you said that she was supposed to be very good at science and book knowledge and everything, that does not make a nurse.
Mm-mm.
You need to know your book knowledge and you need to know your science, but you have to have a heart for nursing. Nursing, caring, nurturing. We're not supposed to do any harm knowingly to any person under our care.
100%. And nobody goes into the hospital, especially under the pretense of having a baby, thinking that any employee would do anything to hurt them. Let's look at this video real quick.
Okay.
And let me get your opinion only. Do you
Hmm.
think it should be charged as a hate crime in Virginia? Because I'm getting really tired of these weak ass DAs.
Right. Well, you know, a while back when they started criminally charging medical professionals, I was kind of conflicted about that. Um, but now this particular lady, I hope she faces civil charges, criminal charges, and I
Mhm.
hope she does get some type of hate crime charges because it's very convenient that it involves black babies. It's very convenient, is it not?
And all on her watch,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
overnight, because Mr. Hatchie had seen his baby the day before, his twins. It was the
Hmm.
next day he noticed that his son couldn't move his leg and it was discolored. Let's look
Hmm.
at
Okay.
When black babies are born, when people like us that look like me are born, we come out with a strike already against us because people don't like us without a cause. They don't like us just based off of our beautiful dark skin. These right here are just two of many babies who have been harmed by evilness. What burns me up is every one of these victims, every one of these babies that were harmed looked like me. Do y'all remember that character Annie Wilkes played by Kathy Bates in the movie Misery? Where Wilkes would
I hate to tell home skillet, but those babies don't look like him. They're teeny tiny. They can fit in the palm. Okay. If he was in Henrico Hospital, old girl wouldn't be able to break his damn leg. He'd beat the hell.
Mm-mm.
put down elderly people and babies, and Annie almost got caught while she was head nurse of the maternity ward in Boulder, Colorado. Well, that right there is a real life Annie Wilkes. Her name is Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman. She's up there in Virginia. And here's the thing, she's just now being arrested for stuff that she's been doing, as far as they know, since 2023. Yes, up there in the neonatal intensive care unit in a hospital where she worked as a nurse. This happened at Henrico Doctors Hospital up there in Chesterfield County, Virginia. Let me tell you why this is so important. Her charges are coming after 7 babies at this hospital, the NICU unit, were found with unexplained fractures in 2023 in the summertime. And then as most recently as November and December of last year. There were complaints that were coming in 2023, and the police closed all those cases. Then those cases are now being reopened. She was just arrested on Friday, and she got a slew of charges: felony abuse, malicious wounding, all these other things that are coming down the pipe for all these injuries that she did to infants, especially these two right here. Now, they are still combing through all types of videos in order to see what had happened to different.
Okay, I want to talk about this from Paper Slut. He said a week after the hospital announced they were no longer accepting NICU babies, she was charged.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that's when the civil suits started pouring in.
Yes, ma'am.
That opens them to a whole different line of questioning, discovery, evidence. They'll put every nurse on the stand that worked morning, noon, and night. What do you think, Ange? You think I'm off base here?
No, I don't think you're off base. And I also think there is footage that they could review. I mean, many people spend in the hospital or places, and you look up and you see those little dark globes that are hanging from the ceiling. Those are the video cameras. I don't know how their system was set up, but there's all kinds of ways. Let's look at time cards. Let's look at who all was there. Let's look at when people took breaks. Let's look at the video that was already there. I mean, I can't believe they don't have video. I don't trust the hospital. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
Don't trust the hospital in
Look
this situation.
Excuses. And that's why I'm so happy you're doing this show with me because, well, you know the going-ons of, the hospital. I tried to get Daisy on, but, she's too busy. So I went. Can you imagine if she was covering this? Oh, my God.
Well, she might be able to heal it by putting her hand on the leg. You never know.
She's a healer. She's
Mhm.
Daisy's a damn healer.
Mhm.
That's and I mean, the hospital protocol, all those things. And to think that this has been going on since 2023, shortly after this little bitch graduated and started working there.
Right.
It's not coincidence enough for you? Not
Right.
you. I mean, everyone.
Right. And they should have, let her go after the first investigation, in my opinion. I mean, any inclination of any harm by a staff member, that's an extremely horrible thing to cover up. I mean, give me a break. It's like these horror stories that you hear about in these long-term nursing facilities. It's horrible. It's horrific. Nursing is a calling, okay? It's not just a job. It's a calling. You put your entire heart and soul
Okay,
into taking care of the people that are the most vulnerable and are at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to treat them like they are family.
Yes, baby. Yep. I wasn't trying to upset you.
You did not upset me. It's the case.
I know.
Different babies. I wonder how many other babies were injured and the parents were arrested for something that happened to their child caused by this monster right here. How many people are sitting in jail or on probation or have lost their children because of what this monster did? And I feel the hospital is responsible also because they put her on paid administrative leave for a whole year after the 2023 cases of the NICU abuse came to light. And then she was allowed to return.
Okay, so she gets a year paid to do whatever she wants to do while they're investigating. They bring her back, and guess what? Baby bones are snapped again. Did they not put two and two together, or did they let her do it to figure out who was doing it?
I don't know. I think they just tried to cover it up to avoid any type of legal liability, in my opinion. Because, with nurses and with RNs, like, let's say that you go to work and something happens. Okay, somebody slips and falls and hits their head, for example. Well, the hospital and they're always like, oh, we have attorneys and lawyers, and don't worry, we'll take care of you, blah 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 blah. Okay, not true. They will throw you under the bus if they can. And that's why, from the time I graduated in 1900 to the time I retired from nursing, I carried my own malpractice insurance. Okay. So, every nurse needs to do that, number one, because hospitals are not going to back you up when it comes down to it. It's either going to be you or them. But this hospital did the extreme opposite. And that right there does not make any sense. An entire year of paid leave. Is that not maddening?
It is maddening, and it goes back to the whole COVID thing. And I'm not going to argue with anybody about, oh, COVID's not real, COVID's real. But you know what I'm talking about. Of course it's real.
Right.
Anyway, but the nursing shortage, like Dee said, I don't know what kind of hospital hires a newbie in such a critical unit. It's called the nursing shortage.
Right.
And another question, where the hell were the doctors? No doctor
Exactly.
is checking on these tiny little babies.
Well, they had to call the doctor when there's a broken leg because they had to get an order for an x-ray. Okay. So whatever doctor, like a lot of times in a hospital, you'll have like a neuro unit, for example, and there'll be certain doctors that have privileges there. So you see the same doctors over and over. Same thing with a NICU. That's a highly specialized medical thing for the doctors. And, they would had to have known that this was going on. Had to.
Now we hear about negligence, unexcusable in my opinion, in the rehab centers for the elderly, and that's where your calling is.
Mm-hmm.
The nursing homes, I can attest to that, because I do not think that my father-in-law was treated the way he should have been treated at the nursing home when he passed away last year. But I did not know until I started going through things yesterday how often it happens in the unit. Kat said they've had many cases of it in the United Kingdom. What the F are these people thinking?
It's just horrific. I can't even relate to it. I mean, when I went through my NICU rotation, I was like terrified to even touch the little babies. I mean, I had to overcome that. They're just so fragile and delicate. I can't understand her. She's just a sadistic woman.
She is. That's the word, sadistic.
In 2024.
That was done in the dark comes to the light, and sometimes you don't necessarily want to know what was done.
Dominique Hackey, the father of one of the Henrico doctor's NICU babies, found to have broken bones in 2023, concerned that it has taken so long for justice.
I remember her being in the room. She was friendly. She answered questions, but she didn't stay and talk like the other NICU nurses did. She wasn't family like the other NICU nurses were.
He's describing 26-year-old Erin Strotman, the nurse now in jail, charged with felony child neglect and felony malicious wounding, related to a different baby in 2024. Strotman was put on paid administrative leave by the hospital for a year after the 2023 cases of NICU abuse came to light, and then was allowed to return in late 2024. Hackey saying the hospital should be held accountable as well.
Because that shouldn't have happened. If they were suspicious of some person enough to let him go, they shouldn't have brought him back. So that's on them. They failed. Simple.
HCA, the network that oversees Henrico Doctors Hospital, issuing this statement, saying in part it is shocked and saddened by this development in the investigation, and that the hospital is focused on continuing to care for its patients. Strotman was just fired from her job on Thursday, Henrico police arresting her that night. Henrico's Commonwealth's attorney Shannon Taylor says the investigation is not over and more charges could come as detectives continue to review NICU video footage.
We will continue to work on building cases if there is evidence present to build other cases to find if there's additional criminal culpability.
Families of some of the young victims from both 2023 and 2024 were present for Strotman's arraignment, seen leaving the courtroom in tears, some hugging each other for comfort.
Let's push this, share this. We want to get justice for these babies right here, for Dominique, rest of the families that were.
Yes, we do, because it's sickening. It is sickening. And this chick is going to wind up being on a Netflix documentary, mark my words, and not the kind that you want.
That's ridiculous. Yes.
She has a hatred in her heart I couldn't even understand. Now, I actually came across this channel yesterday. Damn it, I subscribed. I get so sick of that shit. That's the reason I have to put on here all the time, subscribers only, because It unsubscribes people. But hey, whatever. Baby bone crusher. Nurse arrested for breaking the limbs of newborns in ICU. Now, anytime my children were in the hospital protocol was somebody has to be with them at all times. And that somebody is not a nurse. It has to be a parent. NICU is totally different. Even the parents, grandparents would have no problem being in a rocking chair waiting, sitting right there. But NICU is different. Why is that, Ange?
NICU is different because there's specialized needs for these babies, and they require such a high level of monitoring because they're so fragile. NICU has visitation hours, kind of like if adult was in ICU. You have certain visitation hours. However, parents are allowed to come in, and like you said, when their babies are stable, they can sit right there and hold the babies, and rock the babies. And they even have volunteers that come in sometimes and hold the babies. And, unfortunately, sometimes people don't come to hold the baby, so they have volunteers that do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're talking about tiny little, like, the most delicate flower in the world. And you have to have specialized, intense monitoring. Their oxygen level, whatever else is going on, sucking, the ability to take food in, all of that they're monitoring because they're not fully developed when they're born premature.
That's what my friend went through when her grandbaby was born, premature. And I forgot that another friend of mine went through it when her baby was born premature. And shoot, that was in 1998. They have to do a car seat test. Mm-hmm. They have to do what's called, and don't get turned on in here, paper slut, suck and swallow. Like they have to be able to breathe through their nose and take a bottle.
That's right. That's right.
And then they have something, it's called like skin on skin, where daddy holds the baby against the chest, mama holds the baby, so they get used to being outside of the womb. Like you said, it's extremely specialized.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
it truly is.
Nobody in their right mind would think that in this extremely important specialized unit that anybody who is an RN would go through there and just start snapping bones.
No, and my experience. Now, I did do case management. I had to cover that sometimes when insurance. Sometimes I had to go down and cover the NICU to get insurance to pay for the treatment, which sounds ridiculous, but they only give you 2 or 3 days at a time. And the NICU that I was at, is like this big room, and the little babies are like, if you can imagine, a big old room, like bigger than a semi-private room with a curtain between you. These babies are all in their little areas in their little incubators, and there's like a nurse for every 2 babies or 3. And I don't understand how this happened with anybody not seeing it.
Me either. Princess Elsa said, Brooks, my daughter aunt started herself on fire from smoking, and my daughter burnt her hands and arms trying to put the fire out, and her aunt is not expected to make it. That's horrible, Elsa. I'm very, very sorry about that. But were they smoking in bed? Or they fell asleep on the couch? I don't know. Y'all check out this channel, T. Erica, because she does a great job breaking this down. She's on TikTok and YouTube. I don't cover many platforms. I'm not that tech savvy.
Virginia, who became known as the baby bone crusher after continuously breaking the legs of newborns in intensive care. Erin Elizabeth Stratman, a 26-year-old registered nurse in Richmond, Virginia, has been charged with malicious wounding and felony child abuse. Erin was a registered nurse at the Henrico Doctors Hospital Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, where parents...
Hold on one second. Paper Cut has a question. Sorry if it was mentioned and I didn't hear it, but what exactly caused this woman to be exposed? The sheer amount of failures on the entire NICU ward to allow for this is nuts. The only thing I can think of, maybe Ange can weigh in on this, is that she was on 1 year of leave. Nothing happened in that year. And when she came back, suddenly baby bones are being broken again.
Mm-hmm. I think that, it may have had something to do also with, one of the parents got CPS involved.
Yep.
And the CPS report said this baby has been, abused by a staff member, which is horrific to think. And it seems to me like they had a pretty good idea of who it was. I don't know. I don't understand it at all. I just don't agree with them bringing her back at all. I mean, normally, if there's even the slightest hint of somebody doing something fishy, suspicious, or just mistreating a patient, I mean, they need to be overprotective, not underprotective. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Did they think that what happened to the twins in August of 2023 was, one twin, another child was maybe, like they said, a birthing incident from injections? They had a lot of stuff. Now, my question is, they only put her on administrative leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her. So why even bring her back? Now, I understand you're going to pay her for the year in case you're wrong. And, and then, bring her back. So in that year, nothing happened. They bring her back and it's happening again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's a really good question, Paper Cut.
Mm-hmm.
Paper Slit.
We're finding that their newborns had sustained fractures to their bones. The father of baby Noah had noticed that their son's leg had stopped moving and was bruised. So he called CPS. After the investigation, CPS reported that the fracture was caused intentionally by child abuse. Even after authorities investigated and multiple cameras were placed around the neonatal intensive care unit, over time, 7 babies were noted to have sustained broken limbs while in the hospital's care. Eventually, police learned that 26-year-old Erin Stratman was the woman who was intentionally breaking the baby's legs with no remorse. Police arrested Erin and then shut down the intensive care unit where no new babies are being allowed. What a horrible, disgusting, hateful monster bitch.
Monster bitch. I agree with her.
Ooh. Amen, sister.
Why shut down the NICU unit if you found the person?
Right. Because, what really gets me is if this had happened to one baby, you would think all of the bells and whistles would be going off and everybody would be, really hyper vigilant. But there were 4 babies involved before she was suspected and put on leave. And then she comes back and there was 3 more. So I think I've got that right. There's 7 total. That is unheard of. And also, when they talked to her, the hospital, when this came out, the hospital started saying she was a former employee. Okay. And she was saying that she never got any information that she was terminated. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what to think of that.
Arrested. She's like, oh, I didn't know I was terminated. Well, they didn't tell her. Girlfriend, you weren't part of the convo.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, Erin, you weren't part of the convo. Once the police are involved, CPS, and they have all these lawsuits on them, yeah, they didn't feel the need to fill you in. You really want to be a victim because nobody told you that you were fired with a capital F? And her parents are very wealthy.
Oh, wow.
They will bond her out. It's going to be crazy with the attorneys they're going to get.
Yeah. That was the case with that Lucy lady over in the UK, I think, too.
That's what Kat was talking about. And I think
Yes,
Britt
ma'am.
about it too.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you get everything you deserve. I'm Tierica with the T. Follow for more. Did you hear about the nurse in Virginia who became known as the baby?
Okay. Go give that girl a sub. Put in her comments. The show I put in there, just say, hey, Crime Lines and Lies sent me. We're good friends. But there is another part of the story. And the part is that the daddy of the Hankey twins wouldn't let up on them. He wasn't going to take no for an answer. He wasn't going to listen to the craziness of everything from injections too hard. Could be a birthing accident. You know, like you said,
Yeah.
that was a clavicle through natural childbirth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Those are just excuses. And I'm so glad he pushed this. I'm so glad because his mother happened to be a nurse. And when he told her about what happened, she was like, no, this is not right. And I feel like he's the one that possibly got the ball rolling on this, right?
100%. He was rattling every chain. He went to the hospital administrator and he was like, you tell me how my son could break his leg when his leg was fine the day before. And then next thing you know, they're getting all these excuses. Well, could be. And I like what he said. I don't want to hear could be. I want to know how it happened.
Exactly.
Don't throw all your medical BS at me. I don't want to hear could be. It's not like he jumped out of the NICU and started riding a tricycle and fell down. That didn't happen.
No.
The babies, they have this little tube that goes up in their nose. What is that? Is that the feeding tube, Ange?
Yeah, probably the feeding tube's what you're talking about. If it's not the oxygen, yes, ma'am.
Okay, she kept removing them.
So she's denying nutrition to the children.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is what they need a lot of. But
Yes.
this man, in my opinion, is a true hero. This is from WTVR CBS.
And that was Noah.
August 25th of 2023, the day little Micah and Noah were born at 28 weeks and 6 days.
They kept him swaddled a lot. He loved to swaddle.
Dad Dominic Hackey took countless photos of the twins, so proud and so in love with them, especially after Dominic and his wife Tori were told Micah might not make it.
Well, directly after the babies were born that night, they told us that we might lose Micah.
Thankfully, they didn't. Both boys stayed together in a room in the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, or NICU, at Henrico Doctors Hospital. Noah, in particular, thrived right away.
And Noah was...
So why was she abusing Noah? They had questions if Micah could even make it. Micah was so premature that his skin you could almost see through. Could you?
Goodness gracious. Well, now, the daddy was talking about when the twins were born that Noah was the one that seemed to be stronger, than Micah. And I don't know, is that why she targeted Noah? Because he was doing better? I mean, that's just so sick.
It is. I agree. I mean, she shouldn't target any child. She should just do her damn job and get them to where they can go home and thrive with their families. But you do have to wonder in her brain, because we talk about crime on this channel, what made her target that twin, Noah?
Absolutely.
Now, when a baby is that premature, I don't think they can put out like a huge scream cry like like I don't want to see babies. So it would be kind of undetected for him to get his bone broke and him, kind of give out, kind of a whimper, right? Because I mean, he's just a little over 3 pounds.
Exactly.
Okay, Britt said they're not very loud.
I'm not. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, the things that the hospital said they were going to do different was to provide more training, to require a head to toe inspection by a physician daily, more security cameras, and increased observation. What? That should all be done anyway, just right from the bat. That's a baseline thing. What?
Hmm. Yeah, this is
Just,
not some hospital in the panhandle of Oklahoma. We're talking
mm-mm.
about in Virginia. I was shocked when I heard that they didn't have certain security. I was shocked when they didn't have cameras. Chaos said, do we know if all the babies were male or female or combo by chance? Boys and girls, because there's a little baby named Alana, and she had bones broken too.
This healthy baby boy, he was on CPAP for maybe 2 days and he was taken off.
But on September 5th,
So yeah, this was right after it happened.
the couple received some startling news.
A nurse was standing over Noah and was swaddling him and just kind of looked back at us and was like, hey, I noticed that his left leg was not moving. It was kind of discolored. Told the doctor on staff. We got some x-rays. We determined that he had a fracture to his leg. So we are going to splint it for the next 2 weeks. Then she was like, do you want to hold him?
Dominic and his wife said no.
In my mind, because I'm like, I don't want them to say that, turn it around on us and say that we broke his leg or anything like that. So I was like, no, we don't want to hold him. We're just going to kind of process this.
This picture Dominic took of Noah's x-ray shows the fracture.
They said it was the tibia that was fractured. And so that little piece there is what the fracture was.
So it's going right down at his little baby ankle. Maybe that's the problem, maybe that's why he's having an issue, because they both the twins are walking, but Noah walks with a limp on that side.
Oh, wow. Yes, because the tibia of the bones in your leg, the tibia is your weight bearing bone. Okay. So she set him up right from the start to have an issue. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Now, how would a child come back from that if they break a bone, that early on? I mean, physical therapy.
No, they just splint it, and the bones will eventually heal. They'll eventually heal because they're in the process of all of the mineralization, like I think it's the phosphorus. Can't remember the other one right off the top of my head. Shoot. But the bones, if you think about the cartilage and the collagen that surrounds the bone, it's still developing. So it's actually able to heal. However, because there probably wasn't any surgical intervention needed, I don't think so. There's always going to be a problem, I guess, with that bone, because who knows? I mean, I'm sure they have an x-ray of how it healed, but it probably didn't heal in the manner that it would have been in if it never got broken in the first place.
100%. And I have a feeling that the discoloration was probably from bruising, because babies don't bruise like children and adults do.
Right. And see,
Especially
anytime, yes, and anytime you have a broken bone, as a nurse, you check for circulation, sensation, and movement. So we already know that the nurse said he's not moving his leg. So he probably wasn't getting, good circulation. And, that had to be painful on that little baby. Oh my God.
It had to have been. And the whole thing is the little guy's laying there, and he doesn't have the lung capacity and the vocal cords to scream out. What did they do for him for pain? What can you do for a preemie for pain?
Well, I hate to get back into that again, but you can actually give a little tiny bit of morphine, remember?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Tiny, 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 tiny.
Dominic then told his mother, a nurse, about the fracture.
She's like, that's not right. I've worked in, like I said, multiple NICUs, and there's never, ever, ever been a fracture.
Dominic says she immediately contacted Child Protective Services to report the injury. Meanwhile, Dominic says hospital leadership seemed to suggest the injury was accidental.
That's what they told us.
What did they say?
That it could have been done because an injection was given and maybe they did it too hard and that caused the fracture.
By January, Henrico police and a prosecutor had reached out to the couple as part of their investigation. And in September, they received this letter from Henrico's Department of Social Services.
Following a thorough Child Protective Services investigation, this agency has determined the disposition of this report to be founded level 1 for physical abuse of Noah by an employee of the Henrico Doctors Hospital NICU.
Level 1 is the most serious level of child abuse or neglect in Virginia.
It was intentional, it was child abuse, it was the most severe level that it can be, and that kind of like definitely opened our eyes to it, because nobody had ever said that before. Nobody had ever said, this is child abuse, this was intentional. When you find out you have kids, you do everything to protect them. You kind of vow that, especially as a father and my son, I vow to protect them and do everything, and I'm helpless.
Stand up dude, and I'm glad he went after him, because you know how many people, and I'm sure you know from working at the hospital, they'll take any answer and just go, oh, okay. Well, then
Exactly.
something
You have to ask. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, girlfriend.
You have to ask questions. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. To say an injection too hard. Okay, we give injections in the veins. We give injections in the fat. We give injections in the muscle. Ain't nobody going to hit a bone giving an injection to a premature baby, especially. That is ridiculous.
And what kind of needle is going to break a rubber bone?
Right. We're not talking about a bone marrow aspiration, for God's sakes.
And here's the whole thing. There was no injection site. He was broke.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No. So what? And so when the dad kept pressing him and they're like, oh, we're looking into it. He's like, it's not going to, I like when he said it's not going to work that way, because his twins were in the hospital for like 80 days.
Yes. I love that man. I'm so happy that he asked questions. You've always got to ask questions.
Mm-hmm. If it doesn't make sense, it didn't happen that way.
Mm-mm.
I don't care how educated the person is talking to you. If it doesn't make sense, it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic says it wasn't until October of this year that police told them other NICU babies experienced similar injuries around the same time, but they said they couldn't figure out who hurt the babies. They basically said, like, we couldn't find evidence of who did this.
Correct.
How did that feel?
Angry. It's my baby boy, and I feel like I've done nothing to protect him, and that hurts, and it's pissed me off.
Still, Dominic and his wife were so busy caring for the twins that they accepted those findings and the hospital's word that they had instituted preventative measures like cameras in the NICU and more training to ensure this never happened again. That is until Thursday, when a friend sent them our story about Henrico Doctors Hospital pausing admissions to the NICU after 3 more babies were found with unexplainable fractures in late November and December of this year.
We couldn't believe it. Instant anger, instant tears, because it's not supposed to happen again. It wasn't supposed to happen in the first place.
Now he says he blames himself for not reaching out to the news to share his story long ago.
That's one of my hugest regrets, reaching out sooner and saying something, because, it could have.
I feel bad for him blaming himself for anything. Now, some parents, I get it. I look at them, I'm like, really? Dude, you didn't do this? He has no issues kicking himself. He should not second guess anything he did.
No, it's not his fault. Who is literally gonna think that when they leave their baby in the NICU, and don't get me wrong, most of the nurses are just wonderful in the NICU. And, that's where they go, that's where they stay, and that's where they retire from. There's not usually a lot of turnover in that area. Same thing with the normal healthy baby nursery. And I mean, I really hate that he feels bad, because who would think that you're going to hold your baby and visit your baby and go home and your baby is going to be in danger? Who would even think that?
And you're exactly right. And on top of that, they have brand new baby boys, twins. You know, they were already anxious because
Mhm.
they knew that his wife was not going to be able to carry them to term. They already knew that. There's only so
Mhm.
much space in the gut unless you're Michelle Duggar. Okay. So they already knew that part. And then next thing you know, as they're praying, visiting, time off work, setting up nurseries, they have this on top of it to deal with, because they were so concerned that Micah was going to die.
Mhm. That's exactly right. What a horrible, horrible burden to put on somebody. I mean, that is just a sociopath. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous.
That's a good word for it.
That's so sad.
Belle Does Shorts said, Brooks, I promise I watch all the time, but these cases pee me off so freaking bad that I refrain from commenting because my words can be so ugly against these type of monsters. Let it loose, girlfriend. Don't even worry about it, because we're all in the same boat.
Preventing
Mhm.
somebody else's child from getting hurt. Ready? Woo!
Thankfully, Noah made a full recovery, and the twins are thriving at home in Chesterfield. But the couple now wants justice for Noah and for the other babies who were injured while in the NICU at Henrico Doctors Hospital.
Somebody needs to be held accountable for my son, for everybody other's kid. Like, somebody needs to be held accountable. It's too many.
Way too many. One is too many.
Absolutely.
You
So
know,
the girl was a new graduate. He went straight to the NICU, as somebody previously was asking about.
Mhm.
This is going to sound really weird, but this is what nurses say when they graduate, okay? And this is going to sound a little bit weird because it's Florence Nightingale, okay? You say, I'm solemnly pledge myself before God and in the presence of this assembly to pass my life in purity and to practice my profession faithfully. I shall abstain from whatever is delirious and mischievous, and shall not knowingly administer any harmful drug. I shall do all in my power to maintain and elevate the standard of my profession, and will hold in confidence all personal matters committed to my keeping, and all family affairs coming to my knowledge in the practice of my calling. I shall be loyal to my work and devoted towards the welfare of those committed to my care. And that's the nurse's pledge that you say at graduation.
that is the nurse's pledge.
Yes, ma'am.
This is from Fox 23 Houston. I love Isaiah Factor Uncensored because he really gets down. And just like we have here, he has a medical professional on his panel asking, how the hell could this happen? Let's check this out.
In Virginia, a nurse sits behind bars after, in some instances, newborn Black babies were found with serious injuries, broken bones. Enrico Doctors Hospital says staff found 3 babies with, quote, unexplainable fractures. 26-year-old Aaron Strotman is charged with malicious wounding and felony child abuse.
Okay. Felony child abuse in Virginia and malicious wounding, I hate to tell everyone, is probably going to get her a good 5 years. Not enough for me. Also, there is a way to get your nursing license back. I am not cool with that. Are you, Ange? I'm sure you've worked around nurses before that have gotten in trouble and they let them come back, what is the protocol for that?
Well, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I do have experience with nurses that have become somehow addicted to substances, and they have to go to treatment. And the board of nursing lets them keep their license as long as they go to treatment, live in a halfway house for so many months, and then are subjected to constant observation and random drug screens. Um, in my opinion, this lady needs to be reported to the board of nursing in that state. I think that any possible hint of any type of misbehavior or injury to others is grounds to lose your license, in my opinion, and I don't think you should get it back. No way.
I agree too. Now, I saw some very interesting comments in like news articles and stuff. And one lady, actually, it never occurred to me because we actually take our nurses for granted. They said,
Mhm.
you know, we can look up any doctor, but we can't look up nurses.
Mm-mm.
So I was in the hospital a few months ago. You know, someone comes in, they're like, hi, my name's Beth. Hi, my name's Tori. No way for me to find out if they were any kind of trouble. Do you think there should be more transparency with nurses?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody knows from going to the doctor, from going to the hospital, you know, some nurses are like your BFF. They're so good to you, and they go out of their way to accommodate you and make you comfortable. But then we've all had that nurse that comes in the room, hands you your pills, don't say much to you, and walk back out the door. And unfortunately, those type of nurses and the ones that go above and beyond are still allowed to practice together. You know,
Mhm.
I just think that's horrible. I mean, when I first started working on an orthopedic unit, for example, you know, that's medical, that's medicine, that's a fast paced unit. I walked in this patient's room and simply smiled at them and said, "Hey, how are you today?" And it's really sad that this person goes, you know, you're the first person that said 2 words to me that's been in and out. These nurses just come in and hang up a bag and don't say nothing to me. So you're going to have nurses that are there that are burned out, that have no business being there,
Mhm.
that are just barely doing what they have to do to get by. And then you have the nurses that are going above and beyond and doing everything that they can that is right for their patients.
And that is most nurses, but
Yes.
not this one. And that's one thing I need to make clear in this show today and going forward. When we're talking about one attorney, we're not talking about all of them. When we're talking about one social worker, we're not talking about all of them. When we're talking today about this nurse, we're not talking about all of them. And so
Correct.
you can't group the bad egg with the good eggs. You know, like, you know, my friend Gina, their company credit card got turned off. Why? Because somebody was abusing the company credit card. And that is one thing, totally off subject, but
Mhm.
that is something that happens. You know, one kid is bad in the class and the whole class gets punished.
That's right.
And
That's
so,
exactly right.
no,
I
nurses.
just hope that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying nurses are amazing. You go ahead, Ange.
Well, you know, I just want people to know, and I'm sure that they do. I'm not trying to say people don't know this themselves, but anytime, you know, in my opinion, anytime you have somebody in the hospital from your family, you need somebody sitting there with them, especially if they are confused or, you know, drifting in and out of consciousness. But even if they're awake, alert, and oriented, there needs to be somebody there. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, don't be afraid to ask questions. Most nurses will gladly answer your questions. Just because you have a nurse in your room that is rude, or, you know, you don't have to still have that nurse. You have a right to speak up, to ask, to say, can I be reassigned? Can I, another nurse? You know, you have a right to say that. And
100%.
Yes, when my dad was in the hospital, this one nurse was kind of and she was not very personable. She was bringing pills in there, and you know how I do. So I'm like, "What medicine are you giving him?" I'm giving him what the doctor ordered, and looked at me like, and rolled her eyes, And I said, "Well, I need to know the name of the medicine you're giving him." And so she told me and acted like it was a real pain in the butt for her to do that. And I said, "Listen, I'm going to be asking you questions about everything you are doing to my daddy. And if you don't like it, I suggest you get reassigned. You have to speak up for your people."
And that's how we are in our family. Somebody is in the room all the time. Now, it's different if I have to go to the hospital because I want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Let me sleep. I promise no one's going to do anything to me. I do not know how to pronounce this name. I'm glad you're here. You are a local to this case. Said, "Oh, I think she will lose her license." She did. And I believe she has been arrested. Yes, she has been arrested. Just don't want to confuse anybody. Yes, she has been arrested. For sure. Now, I do not know when her bond hearing is, but I have a feeling her parents are going to bond her out.
My next guest is Dr. Dalashah Lee from Archpoint Pain Institute. He says these allegations are true. If true, she should have not been allowed to work after she was suspended the first time and they brought her back.
First of all, your thoughts on this case and just how horrible it is that a nurse, someone in your profession, would harm a child like that, a newborn.
Yeah, it's a very disturbing news indeed. Our first, the oath that we take is do no harm, right? And so when I hear of stories like this is a truly disrupting and really sad, shocking news that I hear from somebody who we would help or we would hope.
This is true, paper slut. If I'm in the hospital, I'm like, yeah, give me the good stuff and let me sleep. No one's going to damage my old crusty ass. I promise. I did have one nurse when I was in September for that blood clot. And by the way, you helped me a lot, Ange, because I was sending you everything out of my patient portal. I'm just screenshotting it left and right to Ange. And she goes, "Oh, it's that D-dimer. They found a blood clot." They gave me something. And I was like, "Can I go home with that?" And they're like, "No." Really? Are you sure? No, it's intravenous only. I'm like, "Oh, well, I can watch YouTube and figure out how to do it my damn self." Lisa, she said, "Sometimes if you call them out, it puts you on their radar to do something bad." Ooh, I hope that would never happen to anyone in here. Because I can honestly say, except for being sick, having surgery, I'm one of the lucky ones. I've never had a bad experience in the hospital, and especially with the way my children have been treated. So
Well, that girl is right. The girl that you just put her comment up, she is right. In a lot of instances, if you ask a lot of questions and or ask, ring your call bell a lot, for example, a lot. Sometimes the nurses will be like, "Oh, is that person in the room with them? Yeah, they're real needy or they're very high maintenance." They'll say stuff like that in report. But to cover your butt, just remember there's always a nurse manager on duty for every nursing unit that there is. And that's what you want to do is talk to the nurse manager if you have to. And document.
Great advice. And sometimes, obviously, the person that's sick can't document. So it's best to have somebody there with you that can write things down and say, "Okay, it's been this long since they checked," and things like that. Do you agree with that? Or is that kind of micromanaging?
No, I agree with that. I mean, the standard is a nurse is supposed to make rounds every 2 hours. Now, you got to remember, that would be on a general medical floor. And you got to remember that I graduated school in 1984. So, unfortunately, throughout my career, I have seen nursing standards go down the drain. But it all depends on the individual. Okay, it really does. I think most of us can tell when a nurse comes into our room. Do we experience a positive interaction, a caring attitude? Are they very personable? Do they explain things to us well? Or are they just coming in the door and throwing something at you and walking out the door? You know, that would raise my red flags, because the number one error in nursing is med error. Okay. And that's why it's always important to ask questions. What is this medicine I'm taking? But long story short, that can happen. You just need to cover all your bases. I mean, when my dad was in the hospital, I talked to the nurse manager. I talked to there's a clinical supervisor for the whole house. I asked for her. I got everybody up there ringing the bells and whistles because I was really upset. And I guess I just expect these nurses to nurse the way that I would nurse. And they're not all the same, but they need to do the right thing always and put the patient first.
Patient first. I agree. Because let me tell you what, I'm one of those, when I'm in the hospital, I treat it like I'm in the damn Hilton. I'm asking where the hot tub is. I want to know where the indoor pool is. I'm ordering food. I'm sleeping. I'm ringing the buzzer, looking for a Sprite. Yeah, I'm one of those. And they've always been gracious. Ilyanka said she's never had a good experience in the hospital. And you all please keep Gaelic Girl in your prayers. However you do it, thoughts, prayers, because she is still in the hospital and probably won't be out anytime soon. But yeah, I treat it like I'm on vacation.
Is helping the child, somebody who's in the NICU where they're sick, they've got other things going on. The last thing you want to worry about is your nurse, somebody who you trust, doing harm to a child. And so I am very saddened to hear this news. And I hope that this person is not able to practice medicine if this is truly, in fact, this person was causing harm to innocent children and babies.
Now, we know she was accused initially by the hospital internally when they said she may have harmed 3 other children, but then a year passed by, she was suspended, a year passed by, and they brought her back. Was that a mistake?
It was, Isaiah. I mean, as long as you have somebody who has potentially caused harm, this should have raised some flags for the hospital. They should have taken more initiatives and perhaps not brought this person back. She was on administrative leave for 1 year. She was paid supposedly around for all this time as well that she was gone. And then the hospital did its job of checking to see if there was something. I just don't think they did enough. I don't think they did enough investigation. I know that hospitals have ethical boards and committees. Sometimes, you know, when these sorts of bigger allegations happen, it's the hospital's responsibility to make sure that they either have a third party, somebody else that's reviewing this to make sure that everything is checked off and there was no malicious harm that was involved in this.
From your research, what exactly did she do to some of the children?
From what I could see and from some of the x-rays of these children that were obtained, what I saw was she was not handling them in the right way and maybe being too rough with them, or maybe pulling on a leg or something that causes either a dislocation or a fracture or something. So, you know, again, we don't have any strong evidence.
Okay, I have read that too. So we know there's been dislocation. We know there's been broken bones. How exactly is she handling them? Okay, I mean, why is she picking them up and carrying them around? They have tubes and things, you know, connected to their poor little bodies.
Well, you know,
changing a diaper or something is one thing, but I mean, you're talking about goodness, this I'm at a loss for words. Go ahead, Ange.
I'm at a loss for words too. I don't know what to say, except, you know, like you were talking earlier about the parents holding the baby, that tactile stimulation of touch is very healing and very welcoming and comforting to the baby. And, you know, maybe she was just like, I mean, they do have to be picked up, sat back down, turned over, this kind of thing. And maybe she was just, really rough handling the baby, which is disgusting.
Well, she can't claim accident,
No,
in my opinion, for
no,
these 7 babies.
no. She's got a pattern. That's not an accident. That's
No,
not an accident.
no, she has a pattern. You're exactly right. And she knows who to target.
Hmm.
And it's disgusting.
Evidence, and these are all accusations and allegations that we have so far, but I think it's the hospitals and even the now federal government's job to really research this and make sure that this person does not practice and does not harm anybody else if this was truly in fact the case.
And I want to make it clear what prosecutors are saying. You're saying that she may have handled them roughly. They said she maliciously, meaning she intended to wound, harm a child with felony child abuse and neglect in connection with an incident that took place in November 2024. And of course, now there are possibly 7 other children. So the prosecutors there in Virginia are not saying she handled them rough. They're saying she maliciously, with intent, tried to harm these children. And parents are just upset. And some of those parents said the hospital system failed them. Would you agree with that?
I would, Isaiah. I think that unless we have other third parties and other people that have investigated this telling us, yes, this person is safe and there was no malicious harm that was involved in this on purpose, if they cannot prove that, then this person should not have been allowed back into the hospital setting.
I agree.
Yeah.
And by the way, she's not the only one. First, let's go through some of the other families that are speaking out.
Okay.
That Henrico Doctors Hospital is behind bars after being denied bond in a Henrico court. 26-year-old Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman was arraigned today in connection to that ongoing investigation into the hospital's neonatal.
Okay, there's her answer. She was denied bond. Good.
Goodness.
Thank goodness. Let her sit there. Let her sit and spin and think about what she did, because she did this with malicious intents. These were not 7 accidents.
No way. No way.
Intensive care unit. And our 8 News reporter Victoria Lucas is taking action, getting new information in this case today from the courthouse.
She joins us this evening in Henrico with the latest.
The judge presiding in this case denied reporters access into the courtroom, but Henrico County Commonwealth's attorney Shannon Taylor did confirm Erin Strotman was denied bond. Strotman faces 1 count of felony child neglect and 1 count of felony malicious wounding for an injury to an infant on or about November 10th of 2024.
We will leave no stone unturned.
Henrico County's top prosecutor letting reporters know her office will continue to work very aggressively into the investigation into Henrico Doctors Hospital's neonatal intensive care unit. In less than 2 weeks, 1 woman has been charged and arrested, 26-year-old Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman of Chesterfield County, who was denied bond by a judge Friday afternoon.
While there has been an arrest for 1 person for allegedly inflicting injury on a single victim, I would emphasize this is an ongoing investigation spanning potential offenses committed in both 2023 and 2024.
The ongoing investigation centered around 7 babies in total. The hospital alerting the community online that 4 babies had, quote, unexplainable fractures in 2024, similar to an incident in 2023. Strotman now facing charges for 1 child out of the 7.
We will continue to work on building cases if there is evidence present to build other cases to find if there's additional criminal culpability.
It makes me sick. It truly makes me sick.
Dominique Hackey is one of the 3 families who showed up to court for 3 children involved in the entire investigation. Taylor confirmed Strotman is currently being charged in connection to a child whose family was not in court. Still, Hackey says he had to show up.
Justice for my son. Justice for the other families that were affected, the other people's boys that were affected. Somebody needs to be held accountable, and it looks like that day is here.
8 News learned from 2 other families who wanted to remain anonymous that one of their twins who was being cared for in the NICU passed away. Another said her son suffered 12 fractures.
I feel very
12?
What?
12 fractures.
Oh my God. I
Carolyn
didn't know
Miller,
there was I
wonderful
didn't know
day.
there was one. Oh my God, I'm sorry. And there's one that passed away. Oh my God.
Jamie Luna said, obviously, she has a personality disorder. No friends. Did the nurses like her? She didn't get along with the nurses. No.
Oh, this
No.
is more than a personality disorder. Come on. This is more than a personality disorder.
It's like Rexy says all the time, demonic, demons.
Exactly.
blessed with what our situation was, and that it was just a broken leg, because it could have been a lot worse. And my heart goes out to those families, truly.
A Taylor confirms Stratman was employed at Henrico Doctors in 2023 and 2024 and is currently no longer. So we're trying to figure out when exactly she was terminated and what her status was back in the 2023 investigation of this matter. Stay with 8 News for updates. Reporting in Henrico County, Victoria Lucas.
And it was both boys and girls. Only so many have contacted the news. But this is not an isolated situation. And as I was doing my research yesterday, as I was driving my husband crazy and bugging Pat Kay, I came across this. This woman took a guilty plea. This is from WKOW 27 News out of Madison. Look at this, Ange.
Pleads guilty to abusing infants at a Madison Hospital's neonatal intensive care unit.
A judge convicted 44-year-old Christopher Capham of 19 felony charges related to child abuse and neglect.
Hell he doing? The hell he doing?
Oh my God. Madison, Wisconsin?
Yep.
Is that where we're at? Okay.
His name is Christopher. My glasses aren't that good. Christopher Capham, Kaphaem. Let me tell you what, people don't get 12 fractures in a damn car wreck.
Exactly.
He purposely, as we know, did this. And this guy looks like a ped to me.
Yeah, right? Winner, chicken dinner right there.
Exactly. Like Jamie Luna said, he looks off.
Criminal complaint says the injuries to babies included skull, wrist, and leg fractures. The abuse happened in Meriter Hospital's NICU between March of 2017 and February of 2018. Tony Galley was in the courtroom as Capham made his plea. He's got you covered on everything that happened.
There was tension in that courtroom as people with connections to the 9 babies hurt by former nurse Capham sat in the court gallery. And as the judge initially demanded that Capham explain how he hurt each one. Capham was a nurse at Meriter Hospital for 14 years. Court records say a Meriter physician initially believed the first injured infant was hurt accidentally, but more reports of injury led to Capham. The judge accepted Capham's first guilty plea, but wanted to make sure he confirmed what happened.
With the number of infants that I've cared for over my time as a registered nurse in the NICU, it's difficult for me to remember each infant that I cared for.
The judge instead described many infant injuries and asked Capham to confirm he was responsible for them, and he did confirm that. The judge revoked Capham's bail, and he was taken into custody. When he is sentenced, Capham faces as many as 140 years in prison. There's been no comment on Capham's motive for harming babies.
There can't be a motive that would make any sense.
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
I want this nurse to get charged just like he was.
Yep.
I want her to spend a long time in jail. And I won't even go so far as to say we could be looking at a hate crime, which will add more to it.
Mm-hmm. I would charge it federally as a hate crime. I mean, if you read
Absolutely.
the book at someone, do it federally. Have at it. Pat Casey
Yeah.
is evil. That's the reason. This is ridiculous. And I did not realize, until I was going through things yesterday, this has happened a lot. Why is this not more, I don't mean mainstream as in popular. Why is it not out there to warn the public that these things can happen to your family?
Well, these hospitals don't want this out there. That's
Thank
going
you.
to affect their bottom dollar, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you, girlfriend. I knew it. Yep, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Well, I just want to say thank you very much. You are a wonderful friend, Ange, and I'm so happy that we got to do this show together. I really am. And it needs to be discussed. It needs to be out there.
Well, thank you for asking me to come up. This is something that's very, try not to get upset, close to my heart. Being a nurse for so long, it's very disturbing.
Uh-huh.
And I hope this girl pays the maximum penalty for the pain and suffering that she has put upon these children and these families, the emotional trauma, the just the mental trauma. It's horrible. And I hope she gets punished to the full extent of the law. And I thank you so much for allowing me to come up.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, because you put your heart and soul into nursing, taking care of your family, taking care of your friends, everything. And I knew this was going to be hard on you, but I didn't want to upset you.
Oh, you didn't upset me, honey. It's just
you're
it's
pissed at that bitch. You're pissed at that bitch.
Exactly. And it's just very disturbing. And luckily, I still have a lot of compassion and empathy for others. And, healthcare is not what it used to be. We all need to stay on our toes, pay attention to what's going on, and try not to, be suspicious, but keep your mind open for anything that you see or experience that you think might not be right. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to raise a ruckus if you need to.
Well, let's put one in the chat if you guys want us to continue talking about this subject. We follow cases to the end. It might just be an update in one of the groups. It might be on the community tab. But do you guys want to see this through? You're the judge and jury here, not me. Well, OJ is. Sophia said 1. Sophia's like, yeah, I want to see. Look at Walking Dead 1. DT wants to know about the cover-up. Alma, look at you handing out Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Girlfriend, what are you doing? Thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys are the absolute best in the West, and I'm so happy you're here. We had a lot of new names today here, didn't we, Ange?
Oh, yeah, a lot. Glad you guys are here today.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that Angel P was here to discuss her knowledge with us. We are blessed. Thank you to the Mod Squad. I know we had a couple things going on, but nothing that my fearless Mod Squad can't handle. So you all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you back here. I'm going to put a poll up to see what you guys want to discuss tomorrow. I have a few things in mind, but it's fun when you all pick. You guys are the absolute best. Me love you long time.